welcome back everyone. We say welcome back, Cedar Bead. It's one of those days. So today we're going to be sheep mulching. I'm not going to sheep mulch the whole bit, we're just going to sheep mulch a tiny section, which is maybe about here. And if you're wondering what this is, I assumed this bit was the leaves from the rowan tree, but it's not. It is a plant called silverweed, and you can eat it. If you eat too much, you can mess up your stomach, but it's edible and it grows everywhere. And yeah, so that's a good place to kind of try and suppress this. So, but first things first is I'm going to mow. It's optional if you do mow or not, but because this ground, there's so many sods here, a ridiculous amount of sods. I thought to myself it makes sense to mow. So should we get the mower now, Cedar? Come with them. Quite a few levels, 3 levels, and I'm not taking the grass away. Only reason why I did this is that when you start to lay down your materials, you want your ground to be as flat as possible. Like I said before, it's going to very undulating. It's almost like corrugated iron. And I was going to put it up there, but if you can see, you could just make it out. There's a lot of this kind of structural kind of steel here, and you can just see it goes all the way down there. There's so much junk. I'm sure I'll be finding junk in here for years. So that's why I'm going to use in this path, because I started to mow and I felt this lump. And there's another bit somewhere down here as well, which made me scared. But Cedars, you ready? You ready to lay down the first ingredient? What should it be? Horse poo? Should we lay down some horse poo? Yeah? Okay. So my first ingredient out of this, and I forgot to mention, if you're new here, if it's your first time here, click the top right of the screen again and you will see where I got all these freebies from. But my first ingredient is going to be horse poo. And the reason being is horse poo is very fertile. It's a lot better than cow manure, but at the same time, because their digestive tract isn't the best, it's full of weed seed. So that's why I'm placing it first before I place the cardboard. So if you don't have horse poo, then I say go ahead and put cardboard first. But horse poo is going to be put first, so then when I put cardboard on top, it should suppress the weeds that are in there. So the horse poo's down. And the great thing about leaving your grass where it is, so if you mulch it, that's why I recommend a mulcher, people. Like, grass will feed itself. I know you can use some. It's good to have a catcher sometimes if you want to feed your birds or add to your compost pile, but when it comes to this, a mulcher is the best thing. Is that yummy, Cedar? And so basically, the grass will start to ferment and break down and compost and keep this nice and warm, because I know the horse poo is warm anyway. So my next ingredient is this stuff. So I was going to use cardboard first, but I thought, why not use some biochar? This stuff here. So it's not inoculated yet, but if I do, when I do place it down here, what it will do, because I know this place is really wet, it's really rainy, so I can imagine a lot of the stuff will just wash away. But if I do put the biochar here, what will happen is it would inoculate itself and absorb all the goodness that comes when I start layering all the stuff. So I know if there is someone to run off, the biochar will hold the goodness where it is, which is right here. So I recommend that. So if you want to know about biochar, tick the top right of the screen. It's black gold. It's the best thing, one of the best soil amendments in my eyes. The blacker the soil, the better, people. Remember that, Cedar. I'm going to drum that into his head. And so yeah, so next stage is biochar. Good boy, well done, Cedar. Look at that. So what we're going to do now, I know it's all undulated like this is what we want, but we can tamper it down. So, Cedar, should we get standing on here? We've got to stand all over this, okay? Yeah, because we need to squash it down. Yeah? Should we squash it down? Go on then, you start. So start standing on it. Go stamp, stamp, stamp. So, we have stamped it down. We did a good job, didn't we, Cedar? Oh look, we don't really see planes here. So when you do, you just feel like, oh, okay, there's a plane. What is that thing with wings in here? It's a funny bird, Cedar. Anyways, back to this. As you can see, it's not just horse poo, it's a mixture of hay and sand, because the drainage is not the best at the stables, and they use hay to kind of soak up some of the horses' poo and wee, which is good for us, because this is pretty much just a flat line of compost, if you know what I mean. So now, what we're going to add now, Cedar Beady? He's still looking at the plane. We're going to get some cardboard, aren't we? Where's the cardboard? Good boy. Cardboard is down. I've laid it quite thick. I laid it pretty thick. I've got about maybe 3 layers there. if I added up all the cardboard. And I recommend taking the sellotape off before you put it down. You can sheet mulch with sellotape on and then dig it up when like later on, once it's kind of dissolved or rotted down and dissolved, but rotted away. But then that defeats the object of no dig, doesn't it? So I'd say do it when you get it, because honestly it's painstaking, like building it up and then doing it. I've paid someone to take sellotape off cardboard before. It's a pain in the bum. So yeah, take off your cardboard when you get it. So now you're thinking, what's next? What I do now is, obviously, if you've seen other sheet mulch videos before, they say water down your cardboard just to kind of lay it flat so it doesn't blow away in the wind. I'm grateful that it's not that windy today. But what I'm not just using water. I'm going to be using this stuff, which is my wee. So I've gone to great lengths about urine before, but urine is kind of jam packed full of nitrogen, and that's why urine is a great accelerator when it comes to compost, because carbon needs nitrogen to break down, and this is just one big piece of carbon right here. So with each layer from now, because I know my horse poo was pretty wet, really wet because of their wee and stuff like that, so I'm going to use some urine just to pour over the top, just to kind of get this cardboard activated and get it into gear. And I'm going to dilute it. I'm not going to pour this straight on. I could just pour this straight on, but I want to save this, and it's a useful resource. I know it's forever. I pee about 5 times a day, but I'm going to dilute it with some water and then spread it so I've got enough here, because I've only got 2 jugs. I've got how many litres? I don't know how many this is, but I want to stretch the wee-wee, don't we, Cedar? We want to stretch the wee-wee. Lovely. And if you're wondering why it's green, it's because there was some old willow water in there. My urine is not green, people. I am not sick. So willow water is good. Another top right of the screen, click the link. Willow is a great plant, one of my favourite plants, and I'm going to plant this place up with tons of willow. So I give you layer 3. I'm kidding. Basically, the reason why I'm here now is because I'm giving a shout out to a fellow YouTuber, and her page is called the Eco Tree. The Eco Tree. Her name's Kim, and she has a husband called Dan and a little girl called Alessi, and she has a dog called Charlie and a cat called Luna and a couple of chickens, and I remember the one's called Snowball because he likes to escape. That's what I remember. But she's just done a sheep mulching video. This is why I'm giving a shout out, because she's my YouTube friend, my Instagram friend, my virtual friend. And yeah, she's just done a sheep mulching page. I've never done sheep mulching like this before, but it kind of makes sense. So if you've got cats, have a look at this, or if you don't have cats and you have a cat problem and you want to sheep mulch, have a look at this video because it makes sense. It's a nice, cute video, and give her a follow too. Give her a subscribe, because she does sweet things. She kind of knits stuff and crochet stuff, and she does permaculture on a small scale too. So yeah, check her out and check out the sheep mulching video. And let's get back to layer 3. Next ingredient is gonna be sheep wool. And sheep wool is just a nitrogen-rich blanket. It's a proper mankin. It looks like something died in here, but perfect ingredient, guys. Really good. Kind of holds water. Well, when it's damp, it holds water really well. Does it smell like sheep? Yeah, it smells like sheep. So let's get this down. So we have our sheep wool, and I've noticed there's a lot of winnets in here. And if you wonder what winnets are basically kind of poo that kind of collects around a hairy mammal's bum. So if you look at sheep's bum, there's no sheep around me right now. Also, Cedar has retreated to the van because he's cold. He learnt his lesson. I said, try not to get wet. And what did he do? He jumped into a puddle. And I don't stop him from jumping in puddles, but sometimes you can get carried away to the point where his legs got wet, and he's like, "Oh, Daddy, I want to go home now." So, what did you learn? And on it, if it was on the mainland, I would have said, "Oh, you know what? Let's just go home." But because it's Uist and you don't really get days like this, like there's blue sky over there, I thought to myself, like, I'm staying here until this is done. So, anyways, yes, winnets are basically the hairy poo things that hang from a sheep's bum. And I'm sure that this is unusable. I mean, I don't know wool, but hey, it's useful here. But you can just sheep mulch with just wool. But I found because sheep wool can take up to what, maybe 6 months plus to kind of but they decompose. But it's the same with hair, really. Hair can kind of take up to 2 years to decompose. I've read online, but I think if he's got the right settings and the right kind of mixture of things and the right heat, like, you know, when it comes to composting, then I feel like you could speed up the process. So I feel like using it by itself can work, but I feel like in the sheep mulching system, I feel like it can speed up the process when it comes to breaking down sheep wool. More cardboard. Who would have guessed? Reason why I'm doing this is because I know that the sheep ball is nitrogen rich, and I've seen a lot of people do this, like when it comes to lasagna gardening / sheep mulching, is that they put loads of layers on. And I thought, I've got the resources. I've got cardboard for days. I've got more knocking in the shed. There's more at work. There's more potentially I can get from the dump. So I thought, why not just try some more here? Because I know the horse poo is nitrogen rich. I know the sheep ball is nitrogen rich, and my other ingredients are nitrogen rich. So I thought, let's give it a go. So the next stage is this stuff, which is cow manure. And if you watch the last link, you'll know about this. It's more broken down than horse poo. It's a lot less weed seeds in there. Not as nutritious as horse poo, but at the same time, it's got less weed seeds in there because the cows have 4 stomachs, so they're able to break down all the kind of the wildflower seeds and stuff like that. Again, lots of sand in here and lots of hay, and just lots of nitrogen rich. This alone can compost down itself. The same with that compost, that horse poo pile. But that's why I'm adding it to this, to kind of add to the lasagna gardening. So let's get this pile on here. Looks lovely, doesn't it? Looks really, really nice. So what I haven't mentioned is that you should really let your horse poo and cow poo rest for about 3 to 6 months. Reason being is because it comes with a lot of ammonia and a lot of pathogens that you don't particularly want in your garden, so to speak. So a lot of people just kind of let it rest and then amend it. So if I were to sheep mulch with fresh horse poo or fresh cow manure, what I would do, I'd most probably start in October. Because it's January now, and the thing is, I'm in no rush. I'm not planting anything anytime soon. This is just an experiment to show you how to build soil, kind of thing. So I'm going to do the similar process, but I'm going to just use cardboard and cow manure just to kind of spread that, because it's a lot easier then, and I know there's less weed seeds, and it's just 2 mediums. Like I said, you don't need this many medium when it comes to sheep mulching. I'm just kind of showing off right now. So yeah, so October starts, and then October, November, December, January, February, March, your garden's going to be ready to plant up and all those pathogens will be gone, and then you should be able to kind of plant in and do what you need to do. Now I'm plugging myself again, but click top right of the screen if you know more about horse poo. But let's get on with the last ingredient, which is seaweed. Oh, this stuff is great, and it will shrink. And I haven't washed it. It rained a lot last night or the other day, or in fact it rained all day yesterday. It didn't stop. It was just constant. So what I'm going to do, so I've left it till last, is that if I put it on the top, the rain will wash it down and it will slowly break down, and then can dry up in the sun, and then mix in with the cow poo, and then start and the carbon, which is the hay in there, and start to break down slowly. And you can always add to it. You can always add to this pile. This is essentially like a passive compost pile, folks. So don't fret. Nothing. No. It doesn't have to be kind of perfect at the get go, because it's just one of those things. You have to be patient with this. Do not rush sheep mulching. So let's get this over there, and then we'll be done. So there you have it, guys, all done and dusted. And this will flatten down in time. It will kind of suppress down. Obviously decomposition, the compost heap, it kind of starts off big and then goes small. So I've finished all my urine. I've added loads on there, and if I were to speed up the process, I say it again, I'll keep adding urine to this, and that will kind of speed up the process, get the nitrogen flowing again, and start breaking down everything inside. So, and the joy of this place is that we don't get foxes, people. So I'm not going to worry about coming back and this is going to be scattered all over the place. There are otters. I just spoke to my neighbours, and they said there's a man who lives over that side, and he said that there's like a family of 5 otters that keep running up there, and I'm wishing to have my chickens here, so I'm stressing. And otters are part of the weasel family, people, so remember that. Ferocious. It may look cute, but at the same time they don't pass on a good opportunity to get a caged bird to eat, if you know what I mean. Why chase a fish when you can eat a chicken? Anyways, I'm blabbing. This bed, to me this is like a deluxe form of sheep mulching. Like you said, you don't have to have all these mediums. You could literally put down some cardboard and then put down some cow manure, which I finished. Or you could use horse manure, or you can just do some cardboard and some seaweed. Or you can just put down sheep wool, or you can use cardboard and sheep wool, whatever floats your boat. This is just at a deluxe form. This is just loads of layers in there. We've got iodine, we've got cytokinins, we've got nitrogen, we've got potassium, we've got phosphorus, We have so many micro minerals in there. We've got calcium, we've got magnesium. There's so much good stuff in this bed that if I were to plant anything, it's going to look lush. I tell you, it's going to look amazing. So that's why I've mixed in all this stuff, because I know every single medium in here has benefits to the garden. Like I mentioned, peat is very, very nutritious. It's very fertile, but at the same time, it's like I said, not many things grow in it. There's only a fair few things that grow in it. So now I've done this, it's going to look fabulous. It's going to look great, and I can't wait to plant it. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching. So it's all done and dusted now. I'm excited. So remember, it's not just my agenda, guys. It's yours too. And consider subscribing for more fine action and more street mulching, and see what I plant here. Because like I said, I've got 10 acres to sort out, so I'm going to be planting and street mulching a lot of it. So that's the issue.